getting ahead is getting started. Welcome back to the fifth episode of BOL SAC. I, Bhavya Chaudhary, your today's host on behalf of Enactus Sri Aurobindo, am here to kickstart our next episode of the podcast entitled as BOL SAC. I welcome all of you and duly extend my heartiest greetings to all. As the famous phrase goes, today's world is shrinking, and a direct implication of that there is no such field knowing about which will be of no use to you. Every topic is meant to be unraveled, every stone is meant to be turned. Being said so, we are here to embark on this journey through this series of podcasts. I would like to introduce you to our today's guest, Chair Kumar Gaurav. Chair Kumar Gaurav is the Senior Advisor Climate Change and Circular Economy at GIZ, which is German Development Agency. He studied at Institute of Development Study, University of Success, Master of Science, Climate Change and Development. He is basically a renowned personality in climate change mitigation and adaptation professional, focusing on projects contributing to sustainable development, specialized in financing, implementation and monitoring. I welcome you, sir. I am highly obliged to have you here today with us to enlighten all of us on the topic low carbon, solid waste management and related entrepreneurship opportunities. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Bhavya. So, as it was mentioned that I work with the German Development Agency, and as part of my role, I'm involved in a project called Waste Solutions for a Circular Economy in India. It's a project funded by the NAMA facility, which is a multi-donor fund. And as part of the project, we are supporting low-carbon waste management solutions, particularly composting, biomethanation, material recovery facility for dry waste management, which is followed by recycling. And for the non-recyclable fractions, we are supporting refuse-derived fuel preparation for use in cement kilns. So all these solutions that we are supporting, there are multiple components in the project. The first component is technical advisory support, which involves promoting source segregation, involves promotion of home composting, and that is at the household level. Then we provide technical advisory support for setting up composting unit, biomethanation units, material recovery facilities, recycling units, and RDF production units as well. And then these components, this technical advisory leads to setting up of new facilities or starting of earlier closed facilities. Then all this activity contributes to emission reductions. So there's the technical advisory component. Then there's a grant funding mechanism where the project provides grants to urban local bodies. So the money is given as a grant for setting up these low carbon waste management facilities. And then there is also a component called the risk sharing facility. The risk sharing facility is basically a loan guarantee program where an entrepreneur in the waste management sector, if he wants to set up any of these facilities or is in the business of waste management, municipal solid waste management in particular, then any business requires loans. So when they apply for a loan, generally the banks and financing institutions, they ask for collaterals. So if you apply for a loan, generally the collateral equal to the value of the loan is asked for. And small businesses, the entrepreneurs, in case of small businesses, the entrepreneurs have to give their house or their personal wealth as guarantee or collateral. So with the help of this risk sharing facility, what happens is that the collateral requirement reduces. So the entrepreneur can take the right amount of debt financing for implementation of the projects. And this is the component where we are sort of promoting the waste sector entrepreneurship in India, particularly these 4 technologies: biomethanation plants, which are basically generating biogas and compost as output. And when you sell the biogas and compost, you earn revenue, as well as these plant operators can earn revenue from a tipping fee provided by the urban local body, the city government basically, or even in case of certain bulk waste generators. Bulk waste generators are any institution that is generating more than 100 kilograms of waste. So bulk waste generators are actually required to treat their waste themselves or have their own arrangement of treatment of waste. So these bulk waste generators can also pay the waste management sector entrepreneurs to get their waste managed. So in case of biomethanation plant, the business model is that you can earn a tipping fee, as well as you can earn revenue from sale of biogas and compost. And then, of course, there are expenses related to setting up the project, as well as expenses related to operating the project. In case of composting plant, again, the output is one of the output is compost, but there's no biogas generation, so revenue streams are less. But the cost of setting up a composting unit is much less than a biomethanation unit. So composting can be started with less investment, and the revenue streams are again tipping fee as well as sale of compost. In case of material recovery facility, it is only for the dry waste fraction, and that is why we emphasize on source segregation. So households, when they keep their wet waste separately and dry waste separately, the wet waste can go for composting and biomethanation, and dry waste can go first to the material recovery facility, where it is further separated into different components like plastic, paper, glass, metals, and then these components are sent to recycling units. So that is another business model where any entrepreneur, any interested person can set up a material recovery facility in partnership with the urban local body or with the bulk waste generators. And then at the material recovery facility, they will receive the dry waste, separate it into different fractions. It can be manual separation or it can be automated separation as well, depending on the size of the material recovery facility. And then these different fractions are sent to recycling units. Now recycling is another big opportunity where a lot of entrepreneurs um, can be created and supported. So you can have recycling units for paper, for plastics. Within plastic you can have uh, different types of plastics. You all know the PET bottles, the water bottles that we use. So PET recycling is a separate stream. Then there is HDP, LDP. These are different types of plastics, and for each plastic there can be a separate recycling unit, or there are like different businesses around recycling certain fractions of plastic. Similarly, glass recycling, metal recycling. So all these are sectors, like subsectors, where there is opportunity for entrepreneurship opportunity. And in through our project we support these entrepreneurs, particularly through the risk sharing facility, which provides loan guarantees. And this risk sharing facility is being set up jointly with SIDBI, the Small Industries Development Bank in India. So SIDBI, as you know, it's a very important financial institution in India, and they are mandated to support medium, small, and micro, small, and medium enterprises. So the focus is on supporting smaller companies to access loans, so that they can access loans and they can set up these facilities, they can operate these facilities. The guarantee can also be availed for working capital loans. So not just for setting up the project, but also to operate the project. Because money, when you sell the final output, then only you get the money. But you have expenses on a daily basis, so you need working capital also. So for working capital also, sometimes there is a need to apply for loans, and there also the banks, the financial institutions, they ask for collaterals. So in this way, this project can also support working capital loans through the risk sharing facility. So thank you for inviting me for this podcast. And as I mentioned that there is significant opportunity for entrepreneurship in the municipal solid waste management sector. Particularly these four technologies that I mentioned, they have a lot of potential. And through our project, as well as there are other initiatives of Government of India as well as other international organizations, there is possibility to support entrepreneurs in these sectors. So I look forward to any questions you may have, and yeah, I would request you to spread more awareness about these low carbon waste management solutions.
Yes, sure, sir. With such an interesting profile, questions are bound to pop up in our head. So let's begin with the question. Climate change has been affecting millions of lives across the world. Even in India, we are facing severe climate change. Yet, when it comes to taking action, the population is hesitant on making efforts. So, sir, I would like to ask what inspired you to contribute toward the special cost of sustainable living?
So I was very interested in nature conservation and environmental issues from the beginning, and I did my bachelor's in environmental science from University of Delhi. Then I did my master's in environmental studies from the Terry University, which is also in Delhi. And I started working in the climate change sector. So first, I was involved in clean development mechanism and voluntary carbon market related projects, project development, and it really made me feel very good about the work that I was doing, that it is contributing to environment protection, sustainability, as well as addressing the challenge of climate change. And then different opportunities kept coming. So then I joined UNDP, where I worked on the climate policy related aspects for around 2 years. I also worked for an NGO for 2 years. Then I went to UK for my second master's, which was a specialized master's on climate change and development. So it has been a long journey of around 14 years now, and it has been very rewarding because you can see the impact on the ground. You can see that how projects are leading to a better environment, are helping in addressing climate change, are helping in reducing greenhouse gas emissions or in adaptation. And then we all know that climate change is one of the global challenges that humanity is facing. And if, as an individual, you can do something about it, um, it's obvious that one should do it. And the other issue about climate change is that it is linked to everybody's life. So all of us are using energy, all of us are using transportation, all of us are using products and services. So all of us have the ability to change our decision and behavior and impact, help in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For example, very simple things like uh, buying energy efficient appliances, switching to renewable energy if you can. If you have a roof, you can set up a small solar rooftop system, and it helps save you some electricity cost as well. Then and now we have so many options of electric cars, so people can consider buying electric cars or using public transport. If you have a, like in Delhi, there are so many places that are very well connected through metro, so there's no need to use cars or bikes. You can always use the public transport. Buses are also plying in most areas, and now we have electric buses in Delhi. So you see that lots of like individual decisions can be taken for waste management. Source segregating your waste. If you don't segregate your waste, then it is very difficult to recycle. Then it is very difficult to produce biogas or compost, good quality compost. So if people just segregate their waste, they have to keep two bins, put the wet waste in the green bin, the dry waste in the blue bin, and one more bin for domestic hazardous waste. And it's so simple, it doesn't take too much of an effort, and yet it helps in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It helps in creating jobs and opportunities for low income families who are involved in waste management sector. So there is so much that can be done in all aspects of our day to day living that contributes to a better environment. And that is what inspires me, and that is what, yeah, keeps me motivated to work in the sector.
Great, sir. So our next question is, sir, nowadays sustainability has become such a common word. Some people even use it without knowing the real essence behind the word. So being in a project of sustainable startup, how do you interpret sustainability?
So, sustainability, there is a very technical definition available that it is uh, meeting the needs of the current generation without adversely affecting the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And the sustainability word has become very common these days. People are using it for different types of initiatives, but this definition is universal and it should be checked, applied, and one can question uh, different initiatives that somebody is involved in, that whether it is a sustainable initiative or not. Wherever you will see that the change that you're bringing is going to hamper or is going to prevent the future generations from getting the kind of environmental services or getting the kind of natural habitat that was available, it's a challenge, and then that is not sustainable. For instance, if we are doing mining, or if we are doing any project that is cutting forests, and then we are not afforesting in compensation, then the future generations are being devoid of a certain area of forest, the ecosystem services that would have come from that forest. In a similar way, if we are adding greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, and that is leading to climate change, the future generations are not going to get the same type of climate that we have got. They are going to face more harsh climate. So then you know that you this is not sustainable, that our current economic systems are contributing too much greenhouse gases. So in I think the definition is very clear and it's available to everyone. Any activity that we are doing, we should try and apply that lens of the definition of sustainability and see whether what we are doing is sustainable or not, and whatever project or activity we are implementing, is it actually contributing to sustainability or not. And then as consumers also we can question. So there is this term called greenwashing, where companies are saying that okay, this product is green, this product is good, but actually if you do the analysis, if you check, then it you find out that it is not that green, or it is not sustainable, like we know the term and the definition. So consumers should question that. For instance, yeah, I mean, there have been many cases of companies greenwashing and consumers saying that, this is not true, that this is sustainable, you should change this product or service. Or people just don't buy that product or service despite the greenwashing related claims. So, yeah, this is the way to do it. And more awareness is required, because not everyone can be working in the field of sustainability, but everyone can work on sustainability through the work that you are doing. If you're in an energy company, if you are in a products company, if you're in a software company, there are opportunities for all companies to reduce emissions in their day-to-day operations. There are opportunities for all the companies to contribute to these projects, which are sustainable projects, either in the climate change space or in other environmental aspects. So yeah, I would say that the definition of sustainability is very clear. It's about applying that definition, applying that lens, and then checking whether the initiative is sustainable or not, and doing a course correction if you realize that okay, this initiative or this way of working is not sustainable.
Okay, sir. So our next question is, sir, a lot of time people say that only the future generation will suffer due to climate change. So why should they take care of it? But what do you think should all of us be concerned about?
So this used to be the thought, but now we are already facing a lot of adverse impacts of climate change. We all have experienced intense summer,
We all have experienced very unpredictable rainfall. Like yesterday, also it kept raining the whole day. Wasn't expected. So all the weather patterns are changing, and that is impacting our food production. So inflation is higher. That is impacting our supply chains. So if there is flooding, if there is too much heat, plants don't work, people can't work in very harsh environmental conditions, then it impacts production of all types of goods and services. And then it has implications for everyone. So climate change is not a future problem. In the future, it may be more intense, may get more intense, but it's a current problem. And if we don't start reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, if we don't start thinking about adaptation to the impacts of climate change, then we will be in trouble. We will face more and more difficult conditions in terms of food availability, in terms of our climate, in terms of our supply chains, in terms of inflation, in terms of even migration, because some places will become very inhospitable to live. People who are in certain occupations, they will face challenges in maintaining their occupation. So then there'll be more migration, more challenges in providing jobs and essential services. Therefore, it's not a future problem, it's a current problem, and we all should try our best to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, try our best to adapt to the impacts of climate change, live more sustainable lifestyles. Yeah.
Sir, we have a quick fun segment for you if we can conclude with that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a rapid fire few questions. So here we start. Our first question is three things made up of plastic that you still use and are guilty.
And sorry, I couldn't hear.
Three things made up of plastic that you still use and are guilty.
I can't understand the last word that you're saying.
Sir, it's three things made up of plastic that you still use and are guilty of.
And are guilty of. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am now aware that we have bamboo toothbrush. So that is available on the market. I have been thinking of ordering, but just haven't done it. So I really think that I should at least switch from my current plastic-based toothbrush to bamboo toothbrush. So that is one. The other is that garbage bag. So actually, we should not be using garbage bag, but just there's a system in our in the building that I live that you get garbage bags, and the person who comes to pick up the garbage, he likes it in the garbage bag. So yeah, I want to switch from using the garbage bag, the plastic toothbrush, and sometimes I end up using bottled water, like the water available in conferences. And although I try and carry my own bottle or try to drink from tap, RO water, but some places we end up just using the bottled water, and that is also I don't like. It's like the last option, but you can't live without water and you're thirsty. You end up drinking from those bottles as well.
So our second question is the best piece of advice that you have got from people whom you look up to.
Yeah, so one of my seniors, he advised me that we should be very mindful of, because in our sector, there's a lot of advice that we offer, but we should walk the talk. So we should first try and do things ourselves and then tell others to do that. So that's the advice that I like, that we should try and set examples and then request others to follow.
So the next question is, what are the three words that come to your mind when you think about sustainability?
So the three words that come to my mind are energy. So renewable energy in particular, The other that comes to my mind is waste management, so sustainable waste management, low carbon waste management. And the third that comes to my mind is public transport.
Okay. So next question is, what are three basic things that can be done effortlessly for a sustainable lifestyle by just anybody?
So, three basic things is source segregating your waste, starting home composting, then adopting public transport, and then try like saying no to plastic packaging, other like plastic bags or shopping bags, just carrying your own bag. These are like very simple, straightforward activities, but they have very positive environmental impact.
So that was it for the rapid fire answer. Coming together is beginning, keeping together is process, and working together is success. Indeed, this mantra has brought our podcast to a huge success. After talking to you, I definitely feel like that there is no shortage of innovative idea. What missing is the will to execute them. It was indeed a very thought-provoking and insightful session. Thank you so much, sir, once again for your worthy time. I am sure that our audience will definitely incorporate your piece of valuable advice. We hope to hear from you in the near future as well. That was it for today's episode of BOL SAC. Reach out to us with any questions, suggestion, and recommendation. Our podcast is telecasted on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and on our very own YouTube channel in Enactus Sri Aurobindo College. You can reach out to us on our official social media handle. See you all again next week, Tuesday, sharp at 8 with yet another interesting topic and an eminent guest. Signing off, your host for today, Bhavya. Until next